Oh, this is going to be a good one. I got a couple of them going to gang up on me tonight. Don't feel that good either.
The Dan York State of Mind program is brought to you in part by Lookout Rhode Island and Taco Comfort Solutions.
You know, before we begin the program tonight, I just wanted to roll some video of a great first lady. We lost Nancy Reagan at the age of 94. Talk about a life incredibly well lived. Her loyalty to her husband is so well documented, and it just felt like when you heard the news this weekend that is the official end of an era. We're all getting older. She and the president gave so much to this country, and God bless her. Time stops for nobody, but really does feel like an age has officially passed. Let's start the program. By the way, State Representative Doreen Costa is in the House, as well as the chairman of the Trump campaign for Rhode Island, as if that's a concept that you can even digest. Joe Trillo is in the House, and you can tell that I'm a little bit under the weather, so if I start gagging or spasming here, Joe will come in, because you know Joe, Trillo talks. He's got a more famous television show than I do, I can promise you. So let's go to the rundown, and we'll bring our guests in, and we'll have a little battle. Believe me, it's going to be a little bit of a battle tonight. This is breaking news, first reported by WPRI.com today. The SEC has filed charges on the 38 Studios deal. Now, this is not a criminal charge. It is a civil charge. We have some things to peek at here from the story itself that Ted Nesi wrote. So two of the guys in the middle of this whole debacle, Keith Stokes and Michael Saul, are going to pay $25,000 each to the SEC and not admit that they did anything. Keith Stokes is the real guy who knows exactly what's going on here. Of course, the rumors begin to fly about indictments and the like and who's doing what. I will tell you, I think the legislative process, here's another piece from the SEC talking about the essential issues of the case. Thanks for catching that, Steve. $25 million didn't go to Curt Schilling that Curt Schilling thought was going to him. And frankly, the investors, the people who bought the bonds, thought that $25 million was going to Curt Schilling. And so the action from the SEC is about, hey, you say it was $75 million, but he only got 50. What'd you do with the 25? And the underwriting of this thing was so pathetic. It's kind of like buying a house for $300,000, but you don't have any money, so you borrowed $375,000 to buy a $300,000 house. So you have $75,000 to pay the principal and interest on the $300,000. And you say, well, no bank would ever do that. And I say, exactly, which is why the bank's getting hammered by the SEC as well. It's a mess. A lot of rumors about what's going on. Frankly, I think the legislative hearings on this have been pathetic. And I kind of took on the state police superintendent for kind of getting in the way last week.
It morphed into a pretty long-term investigation with the Attorney General's office. The U.S. Attorney looked at a small piece of that. We meet all the time on it. It's not something that we don't pay attention to. It's there. I won't tell you what the end game was. That wouldn't be fair, because tomorrow or the next day I'll be getting inquiries from everybody from around the country about it. But for the legislative hearings, the impact they have on us is whatever we know through our investigative process, we have to pay attention to what people say at those hearings, and we compare what they said there to what they said to us, if they said something to us. And then we also went to the depositions. When the depositions came out, it was incumbent upon us to have our detectives read every single deposition and compare those depositions of everybody that was deposed.
Of course, I challenged them by saying, well, you know what, we'll have to agree to disagree on that. I thought you got in the way. And that's all with due respect to the colonel, who I have profound respect for. Timing is what everybody wants to know. When is this baby going to wrap up?
Everybody asked me when, so to me, if I told you in September, October, it wouldn't be fair, but I can tell you that it's as close as being to coming to completion. There's a couple things that need to be done. Okay. We're in March, so I wouldn't want to promise you March, April. It's not fair, but it's certainly our number one priority to make sure that we facilitate our investigation so people know to the best of their ability what transpired at 38 Studios.
All right, now remember, this SEC thing is not criminal. It's part of their oversight and administrative role. If it becomes criminal, they send it to the Department of Justice. There are indictment rumors flying all around Smith Hill. We don't pay attention to rumors here. We pay attention to investigations that bear out, and so we'll keep touch with the state police over this whole thing. That's just the way it's going to have to be. All right, let's get to the Democratic primary. They got after each other last night in a big, big way, right? Headline over that debate. Trade, jobs, and of course they hung out at a place that's got a real dirty water problem.
Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton debated in Flint, Michigan to address the city's water crisis.
What is going on is a disgrace beyond belief.
The tap water became toxic with lead after officials switched the water supply to cut costs. Investigators revealed state leaders knew about the problem but failed to do anything about it. Both candidates called for Michigan's governor to resign.
People should be held accountable wherever that leads.
The debate came just 2 days before voters head to the polls for Michigan's Democratic primary. The candidates sparred over an issue important to the people here, the 2009 bailout of the auto industry.
I voted to save the auto industry. He voted against the money that ended up saving the auto industry.
If you are talking about the Wall Street bailout, where some of your friends destroyed this economy,
you know,
excuse me, I'm talking.
Clinton holds a major delegate advantage and is leading in the Michigan polls. But Sanders hopes his weekend caucus wins in Maine, Kansas, and Nebraska will change voters' minds.
You know what's amazing? That debate would be perceived as wild if Donald Trump wasn't in our lives, because that feels like a JV fight on the issues. Amazing. By the way, Rick Snyder, the governor of Michigan, ought to tell them to go pound sand. If they did any diligence, those two Democrats, they'd know that this governor in Michigan, while certainly responsible, because the buck stops with him, was not informed as to some of the issues that went on with that situation in Flint until it was too late. Then some of the decisions that were made perhaps were not the best, but it's not like he was informed about the problem and said, what the heck. Isn't it interesting? Two Democrats come into Michigan and tell the Republican governor he should resign. How convenient. Speaking of Republicans, Mr. Kasich is moving. Headlines, New York Times, he's gaining ground. All he wants to do is win Ohio, but a good second place in Michigan would certainly make him feel a lot better, no doubt. And, of course, he's been the fifth wheel in these debates.
About issues. I have never tried to go and get into these kind of scrums that we're seeing here on the stage.
Schwarzenegger is with him, and here's the thing. It's going to come down to their own home states, right? So Marco Rubio wins Florida, he hangs on. Kasich wins Ohio, he hangs on. And you're going to have a three-way against Trump all the way through here, because they're just going to hang on for what's called a brokered convention. I'm interested to see what Joe Trullo thinks about that when we talk with him momentarily. In the meantime, his man is getting a little skittish, don't you think? Here's what Donald Trump said at the debate last Thursday night, big tough guy on terrorism.
He came to me, what do you think of Waterbury? I said, it's fine. And if we want to go stronger, I'd go stronger too. Because frankly, that's the way I feel. Can you imagine these people, these animals over in the Middle East that chop off heads, sitting around talking and seeing that we're having a hard problem with waterboarding? We should go for waterboarding, and we should go tougher than waterboarding.
But targeting terrorist families?
And I'm a leader. I've always been a leader. I've never had any problem leading people. If I say do it, they're going to do it. That's what leadership is all about.
Yeah, right. You know, well, geez, when someone pulled you aside finally and said, Mr. President, you think, I ain't going to work that way, you see headlines like this. Oh, we'll rewrite the laws. Hey, that's a concept, Donald. If you want to get something done, maybe you should actually abide by a law that you could perhaps rewrite. And then it comes to visas. Now he wants to soften it. You know, not a big tough talk until he actually does some diligence. It's kind of a funny thing that way. And his chairman is here. You okay? Are you really the chairman of this guy's campaign?
The honorary chairman of the campaign.
You know what? I got this throat thing in honor of you. You sound like this every day.
This is true. Now, actually, I have a voice today, but it could go at any minute.
Really?
Really?
Well, that's years of yelling at the legislature. That is for sure.
Probably
something that you don't do much of anymore since you went to the dark side and started partying with the Democrats.
No, that's not the reason. The reason is that I'm getting older.
Oh, you gonna throw that one at me?
I'm getting older. My doctor has warned me
to calm down.
To calm down.
Really?
To do a different approach. Yes. So you're seeing the new and improved Joe Trullo.
That's kind of like breaking news. So really, you've had a little bit of advice that your legislative temperament needs to relax a little bit?
That I can't do some of the things that I used to do.
Well, listen, you know, you and I have been up and down around the Mulberry Bush a million times I do know this. I want you around for another 50 years, so calm down, will you, you crazy nut? You know what? Now that I know that, I need to regroup. We're going to bring Doreen anyway. Let me just ask you one question. Why in God's name are you cheering Donald Trump's campaign?
Because Donald Trump is the only person in this race that truly can make a difference. Everybody else is going to be bought and paid for, as we have seen in every past election. But when you have to raise that much money to run for president, you owe the insurance companies, the drug companies, and all the special interests, you owe them your right arm. And the only way this country is really going to get back on track and become great again is when you get somebody that has the business experience of a Donald Trump that doesn't need the money from the special interest to take charge of what's going on.
Yeah, boy, are you going to look like you put your foot in your mouth if he wins the nomination, because he's already proffered he's going to raise money for the general election. Then what are you going to say?
I hope so. I've been telling his campaign every day I talk to them. I said once we get through...
How does that marry up?
Some of the...
He'll be taking special interest money from the people that are...
He's not going to be taking big sums of money from special interest.
The whole answer just changed. You just changed your whole answer. Your whole premise is he's going to take special interest money. By July, he'll be chock full of it.
Special interest
Especially
money
if he goes
is
independent when the whole...
Special interest is different. I have been telling the campaign on a regular basis that it's silly for them not to take money because people feel invested when they contribute $100,
It's called the First Amendment.
$200.
Right. It's a First Amendment exercise donating to a
draw
politician.
Those people in. Up to this point, I've been told no money. We're not raising any money.
Yeah, well, he has raised some money already, which is also baloney. When we come back, Doreen will join the fracas. They can go 2-on-1. I can take it. Stay with us.
A little protester? Get him the hell out. I'd like to punch him in the face, I'll tell you.
Mr. President, your guy.
You know what? You got to get past all this. He's not a politician. He's not behaving like a politician.
The day that you decide to run, you're a politician. The day you start to run, you're a politician.
I'm sorry.
He may not be a career politician. You're a politician. The day that you decide to run, you're a politician.
When you get elected, you've become a politician.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
There's
the day that you...
Oh,
Doreen.
Hi, Dan.
Are you with this guy? You're with him and Trump?
I'm with Joe. I'm Joe, and I'm pretty much getting there, yes. You have to realize...
I thought you were signed on like him. I thought you completely digested the juice.
Here's the whole story. I was a Ben Carson girl. I was going to be the Rhode Island State Chairwoman for the Dr. Ben Carson campaign. So I put a little blurb out on Facebook, and of course, you know, it was all over the place. Then I got a call from the Carson campaign saying that Dr. Carson wasn't going to put my press release out yet. And so I called them up. I'm like, what's going on? They're like, we're going to wait till after Super Tuesday. I'm like, well, I already put the word out there. And needless to say, they were right. Dr.
Well, he should have changed his mind just because you wanted to chair his Rhode Island campaign.
Just because I wanted it. So, but Dr. Carson was my first choice because he would have always done the right thing. With that said, I started looking at Mr. Kasich. And I really like Mr. Kasich, but not enough to come out and support him just yet. So I am not a Marco Rubio fan in any way, shape, or form. He should be doing his job. He's missed over 200 votes. So now we've got Cruz and we've got Trump, and I'm aiming towards the Trump campaign.
What is this, a celebrity high school election you're talking about here? This is serious stuff.
It is serious. That's why I had to go through all the candidates.
This is serious stuff.
It's very serious.
So she's not with us.
She's running as a Trump delegate.
I am running as a Trump delegate.
Oh, she'll leave you in a heartbeat.
I would
Here's
not
what's going to
do
happen.
that to
Kasich next week is going to win Ohio. I don't think Rubio's going to win Florida, though. He's down 8 points. It's going to be a dogfight down to the finish.
If he loses Florida, that's a big statement.
He's out.
And Trump, right? He's out.
He's out.
And if Trump wins it, it's a big feather in his cap.
Right, but if he doesn't win Ohio, Trump doesn't win Ohio, it becomes a little more difficult for him to secure the 1237 he needs, and we could be headed for a broken convention.
I think that if there's any possible way they can force a brokered convention, they're going to.
I agree.
Yeah, because you have all the Republicans that I've been with because I was national committee man for years.
Yeah, you were establishment politician.
Yeah, and I know what goes on at the Washington scene. You've got a lot of big money players that are part of this party as they are part of the Democratic Party. These people are all beside themselves. The other thing that you're having is you've got a lot of elected officials, and I understand this as an elected guy. you have a lot of elected officials feel as though that if they support Trump, they have to own everything he said. I don't own everything he said. I don't own everything he said at all. I disagree with him on
Like what?
On some of the things that he said.
Like?
I don't want to get into specifics. There's a lot of little things that the way he's handled some of the debates.
All right, well, let me see if I can help you both. Concept, presidential temperament. You think he has it?
Well, I didn't like the last. I think he tanked the last debate. I don't think you should be going out saying you're going to punch people in the face. I think he needs to tone it down more than just a notch.
Referencing and assuring the American public that his manhood is ample?
He didn't start that
He didn't
fight.
start that.
It doesn't matter about starting the fight. It's about continuing the fight on a national
You know
televised
what? You can
debate.
go over. There's a million things we can go over
Correct.
like this, okay?
Temperament,
I say
yes
to
or no?
everybody, forget about it. Look at the big picture of what you got here. You got a multi-billionaire who's got a success story. Will he be presidential? Sure, he'll be presidential. Let's elect him as president. See what he can do. Let's take a chance with this guy. We got the same hole in everybody else that's running.
By the way,
He needs to calm down.
what did your doctor tell you?
Exactly.
You're going to make me responsible for this?
If anything happens to him, I'm coming after you.
Right? Can you imagine? Headline tomorrow, York kills Trillo.
No. I do want to tell you, Bob.
What a fitting end to our friendship. Oh, my God. Will you relax?
That's the Joe. That's the Joe that we love.
That's the Joe that I don't understand. I don't understand how.
Like, can I tell you a Trump story really quick?
Is it long?
No.
Okay, go ahead.
I can be long-winded if you like.
Go ahead.
I went to a Donald Trump rally in Lowell, Mass. to see what it was like. They always say it's sold out and there's thousands of people outside. So I got there 2 hours early to make sure I got a good seat. I ended up in the third row. And I'm like, well, look at around here. It's kind of empty and there's nobody, maybe they were making too much of it. Within 20 minutes of him taking the stage, full house. So his handler comes on the stage and he says, we have to wait a while. There's 3,000 to 5,000 people outside that they can't get in, and we want to make sure that they can hear everything.
I guess this is a long story.
Right? So I went and kind of looked outside, and sure enough, thousands and thousands of people outside. So when what they do say about the Trump rallies, that there are thousands of people in there and they're selling out, and there's thousands of people still outside.
That.
Well, at the beginning,
listen,
it was
tell you
doubted.
something.
It was much.
This
It was highly doubted.
disenfranchised, thousands of people are coming out. You know, as a professional politician, and you've been one too, it doesn't matter how beloved you are. There's 30 to 35% of the electorate that thinks you're a knucklehead.
Absolutely.
And they
guess
don't
what
always
he's
feel
hovering
like
at?
that.
Absolutely.
Guess what he's hovering at?
I don't agree.
30 to
that's where it's- no, I don't
35%
agree with that.
everywhere he goes.
So we're not going to know that figure, and you know it as well as I do, until there's other people out of the race. Now, if it were a two-man race, we would know it. But we really
His
don't
negatives
know.
are here.
Yeah, but his negatives have always been there.
The people who will support the candidates who are not Trump will shop from within that group. It's dwindling. It could be down to 2 by the time we're done next
People
week.
who are Trump supporters are Trump supporters because they believe he's not the same old politician that we hear that does where every election cycle, and then they give you nothing.
You consider yourself a conservative?
Yes.
Mr. York, what do
When
you
we come
think
back,
would
we'll
happen?
talk about
Conservative
true conservatism.
with moderate leanings.
If we Republicans choose Donald Trump as our nominee, the prospects for a safe and prosperous future are greatly diminished.
I guess the go-to guy in the Republican Party, the former nominee, you agree he's the go-to guy for
I don't
the
agree he's the
establishment
go-to guy.
Republicans?
No. I believe that they brought him in to give credibility to this whole argument. I was
Who's
a Trump,
they? The mystery they? Who's the mystery they?
The strong Republican national leaders. They needed somebody to be their voice. They bring him in. He's their voice. He makes his case. I think it helps Donald Trump.
I think so too. I think
Why?
that was a big mistake taking out Mitt Romney. I was a huge supporter of Mitt Romney when he ran in 2010. The problem, and when he ran later on down the line, the problem I have with him is you can't go out. I mean, it's Reagan's 11th commandment. If you were that tough running against Barack Obama, maybe we would have won something. Where was this Mitt Romney years ago? He's coming out like a fierce lion right now, like a fighter. We didn't see that before. If we've seen that
Perhaps
yes.
he has such a feeling of desperation that he needs to step out. This notion of the Reagan rule, and don't you understand? Donald Trump has attempted to steal the Republican Party.
No, he hasn't.
He's used this as a vehicle for a gun. There's not a single thing on his resume that would load him into the Republican Party.
He told you he's a businessman. He played politics. You can't be successful.
I'm not talking about where his money went. I'm talking about where his philosophies have been. He's a complete chameleon. The whole thing has shifted to fit this primary.
He's the one that has talked about the conservative issues. Let's lock the border. Let's go after insurance companies. These are the important things that the American people are tired of.
Let's take 12 million people, put them on buses, and ship them out. Are you serious?
But you know what he does? Read The Art of the Deal. Because in The Art of the Deal, he talks about how you do a deal. You always start here at the ridiculous level, and you compromise. So he's saying things like that. I'm thinking he's going to be willing.
Oh, so maybe he did tell the New York Times that he's just running his mouth on the campaign, and maybe he should cough up his off. We have headlines about this in the New York Times. He made commentary about his real feelings allegedly to the New York Times, and he doesn't even understand.
I have no idea what he was told in the New York Times.
He doesn't have any. Do we have that shot? Don't we? We have a piece of audio here as he's trying to explain about off-the-record commentary. It's on immigration there, Steve. It's in there somewhere. It's probably in the first segment. If you can find it, that's fine. If not,
again, if
but
you look at
we have it. Go ahead, fire it up. Thank you.
Rivals Marco Rubio and Ted Cruz attacked relentlessly and demanded Trump make public an off-the-record meeting with the New York Times where Trump allegedly stepped back from his tough talk on immigration.
If tonight you tell the New York Times to release the audio, they will do it, and we can exactly see what your true views are on immigration.
Trump refused.
I may have discussed something like that with the New York Times, but I would never release off-the-record conversations.
This guy doesn't even know what the options are in an off-the-record conversation.
But you know
that's how his mind doesn't work in this thing.
The minute you start to do that and release an off-the-record conversation, you open yourself up to having to release every off-the-record conversation you ever have with anybody. If it's off the record, it's off the record.
Well, you know what? The power.
And you know how many off-the-record conversations you listen to.
Plenty. And I know who has the option. The other guy.
But once they start to do it, it's no longer.
We could do this all day. You're wishy-washy.
Yes.
You could be with Kasich.
I could. No.
Give me 30 seconds on what you're going to do to run this campaign in Rhode Island. By the way, the Brown poll numbers have you in a walk. Trump in a walk so far in Rhode Island. For the 7 people in the phone booth, that's not a hard walk for you.
How many years have you been saying that?
You just got to knock on the doors and say, "Come on into the phone booth with me."
Right now, we're looking for volunteers. We're going to be working the polls. We're going to be working the phones. We're going to have phone banks going. We're going to put people out in different areas to discuss Trump and see if we can sway some of those people that are on the fence. And he's going to win Rhode Island.
And you're one of them, right?
All right. You go sell some coffee and come back. You go see your doctor, get a written notice that you can come back. Final thought when we come back. Stay with me. We'll have them back. And you Trumpettes out there that are having a problem with me, I'll talk to you on the radio tomorrow at noon on WPRO. In the meantime, Peyton Manning said goodbye today, tearfully. He was choking down tears through most of this speech. He even had good thoughts for the fans at Foxborough. It was actually a wonderful exit speech, and I suggested if you haven't seen it, follow it on ESPN or YouTube or whatever. It was a good one. Hell of a career. See you tomorrow night. Good night.